So welcome to the team, Olivia. As Olivia's joining us here at Burton Constable, I thought it would be quite fun for her as a new pair of eyes to ask what it is that we do here, and generally to try and give an idea, not just to you, Olivia, but to the people who are thinking of holiday home ownership here at Burton Constable. And I thought it would be a very useful exercise to combine a Q&A with me and a Q&A with potential customers, because I imagine that they might have the same questions.
I guess we should start with, what do we sell here?
It's a good question, a fundamental one. What we're selling here is holidays. If you were being romantic, you might say we're selling memories. But it's a rather nice thing about being in business in this industry is that you're not selling short-dated bonds or credit card debt or pharmaceutical products. You're selling things which are meaningfully valuable to people, and there's a mutual exchange of value, which is quite nice. So people come here often for many generations and have their leisure time here, their relaxation time here. And it means that everyone around us, I don't know about you, but I'm usually in a better mood when I'm on holiday than when I'm at home. So everyone who comes here is usually in a good mood, and as such, it's a wonderful place to work and to be on holiday.
So for somebody looking to buy a holiday home, what is the difference between a caravan and a lodge?
It's another good question. I suppose it's personal taste. Price is a big thing. Caravans tend to be cheaper than lodges. A caravan can be, tens of thousands of pounds, sort of 20, 30, 40,000 pounds. It's not, a vast quantity of money, especially if you get it on finance, where you might have a 5, 6, 7,000 pound deposit and then be paying 500, 600 pounds a month. It's not out of reach. And the market for that is very large, because there's a lot of people, especially these days, living in cities. And I was speaking to Wazza, our fishing bailiff. He's the biggest man in the world. Very, very nice. Wazza has a daughter called Stevie, who's very nice. And I remember sort of chatting to Wazza, so asking how he was enjoying doing the bailiffing. And we let him keep his caravan on the touring park. And he says, "Oh, I absolutely love it here. I do it for Stevie, because it's just so nice having somewhere where she can, I can open the door of the caravan, she can go out, she can run around all day and play in nature." And I think that's such a valuable thing, having access to a kind of countryside retreat and being able to be out sort of in a safe environment, out in the in the green, not kind of with exhaust fumes and traffic to dodge. And I think having access to that allows for a really wholesome sort of childhood memories. And I think that parents and grandparents up and down the country really want that for their kids and grandkids. And as I say, it's an affordable option. Lodges is a more luxurious option, so they tend to be wider. So caravans will be a single width unit, 12 foot wide. A lodge might be a double width, might be 20 foot wide, a bit longer, and they're made to a kind of higher spec. So your target audience for a lodge might be someone, a retired couple who used to have a villa in Spain, and it's getting a bit of an effort to get out to Spain, or they might be the running costs of the Spanish villa are going up, or they can't justify going out every so often, so they decide to sell the villa in Spain, and they think, well, we'll holiday closer to home. And they might well think of buying a holiday cottage, and they might have the means to buy a holiday cottage, even if it's very, very expensive. But for them, it's more of a question, I think, of ease rather than access, in that you think about the logistics of running a holiday cottage. It's if it's a few hours away, you're sort of worrying about security. You think, are people going to break in? What's going to happen if there's a leak? You've got to have a local plumber, a local electrician, a local someone to clean the house. There's a lot of kind of logistics to go around that, and you're thinking, this is actually quite a lot to manage. Whereas here, it's a cheaper option. You might be talking £100,000, but you're not talking hundreds of thousands of pounds. But B, it's a lot less hassle. Everything is looked after. You don't have to do your garden because all of the grounds are immaculately kept. If you want something doing in the holiday home, you just have to ring Amanda and she'll organise it for you. It's just it's an ease. And as well as that, there's a lovely holiday maker community here.
Then I guess moving on to when you've already purchased your holiday home, why do people pay pitch fees?
Again, a good question. People often ask. Pitch fees cover the running of the park. I mean, so there's a lot of holiday homeowners here, and the park costs quite a lot of money to run. We have a full-time grounds team, maintenance, reception. We keep the bar open all year round. We've got to heat and light everywhere. We've got to pay people a good wage. It costs money to keep a place like this running, and the idea of the pitch fees is, broadly speaking, to keep that going. So, we have there's no private gardens here, so all the grounds are kept immaculate all year round. We'll invest in the park, whether it's looking after the arboretum, replanting trees, whether it's looking after the lakes, taking lilies out of the lakes. There's 101 different maintenance jobs to do. We've got a lot of natural capital, which requires a huge amount of looking after. The pitch fees help cover the cost of doing that. And then you compare that to the cost of holidaying. So once you've bought your holiday home, you've invested in that. Say you buy a caravan or a lodge, you're probably paying, if it's £4,000 pitch fees for a caravan, £5,000 for a lodge, more or less, you're paying between £80 and £100 a week, which actually for the cost of holidaying isn't very high. And then you think, the alternative might be having a holiday cottage, and you think what you'd be paying for council tax on a second home, you'd be paying hundreds of pounds a month in council tax, which actually is more than pitch fees are. And you don't get all of the service that's associated with the pitch fees, all of the benefits of having that holiday park infrastructure around you. That's really, I suppose, why people pay pitch fees, because they understand that to have this stress-free holiday ability requires a little bit of investment, but the economies of scale allow for that to be a lot easier. For example, we pay business rates as a business, and the pitch fees go towards paying that, whereas people don't pay council tax on their individual holiday home because they're not here as often, and it doesn't warrant that. So there's an economy of scale that goes with that as well.
So now that owners are paying their pitch fees, is it holiday home owner exclusive?
It's a good question. The answer is no. We have rental units, both caravans and lodges, that we hire out to customers on a temporary basis. And we brought those in a few years ago. They're quite a modern thing. And we have these owner summits at the start of the year and at the end of the year, where I sort of take the temperature of the owners and explain what our plans are. And then at the end of the year, we have a kind of wrap-up summit where we kind of review the season, what went well, what went less well, and they can hold me accountable for any kind of rogue promises that I might make. And a few years ago, we brought in the hire fleet, and the owners were not very sure about this. They said, well, hang on, we're not going to know who's on park. You're going to get people in who won't value the park as much as we do, who are less careless about the units. They might make lots of noise, leave lots of litter, be badly behaved. We're not sure about this at all, which is a fair complaint or a fair fear. And I said, guys, don't worry, trust me on this. We're going to keep our focus is always holiday home owners. If you think the numbers, we've got 350 bases for holiday home owners and 50 bases for rentals. So where do you think our priority lies? So the idea is that we keep the profile of holiday makers and holiday home owners the same. So we have quite a low occupancy but quite high priced holiday option, and we're a premium park. So people come to Burton Castle, they pay a bit extra, but they really enjoy it. And so we have a premium offering for our rental customers, and they pay a bit more for the experience of being a Burton Castle, but it keeps the profile of customer the same. So, for example, there's two benefits of this. One is, at the owner summit at the end of last season, I said to the owners, so how about those rentals, eh? And they were like, actually, they were really nice. The people who came, they were in the bar, they were always stopping for a chat. And I said, yeah, would you be surprised to know that there were 950 bookings last year? And the owners were like, yes, because they hadn't made a single complaint, because there was that really good gelling together of our rentals and our holiday home owners. And actually, it's shown by quite a few of our sales have come from people who've been renting and who've had such a lovely time. Either they've been coming for a while and they think, actually, let's buy a holiday home here, or they've gone, actually, this is lovely, this is exactly what we're looking for, and they bought the lodge that they were staying in. So it works really well as a from our customers' perspective. I think it helps build the atmosphere in the park. It's really nice that there are a few nice rental customers in the bar to have a chat to. It's lovely to see the park being used. So for us, it complements the holiday home owners by having this other source of customers who are from the kind of similar profiles.
One of the things that I've been trying to work out as we do rentals is why can't people sublet their holiday homes?
It's a really good question, and one we get asked a fair amount. The reason is really we have rentals which we started a couple of years ago because we had quite a lot of stock and we needed to get people into the park. And at the start, when we started this, the owners didn't really like the idea because they said, "Oh, we're not going to know who's going to be on park. It's that you're going to have people who are not as invested in the park, people who are coming on to, for a cheap holiday, and they're not sort of looking to look after the place. They'll leave litter everywhere, they make noise, that kind of thing." And we said to them, "Look, trust us. We've got this. We know what we're doing here." And we partner with Ho Seasons, which do very good holidays. They specialise in holiday parks. And they understand completely where we're at. And we say, "Look, we've got 350 holiday home bases for owners, 50 rentals. Where do you think our priority is going to lie?" So we pitch our rentals at a very high level. So we price them very well. And we found that we keep the profile of customer of holiday homeowner and holiday renter the same. So there's a lot of... so they get on very well.
Yeah.
And I found that when I asked the owners last year, we had an end of season summit last year to wrap up how the season went. And I said, "Oh, how are the rentals this year?" And they were all of the owners said, "Well, actually, they were really, really lovely. They were in the bar, very friendly. They were, same sort of profile. And actually, quite a lot of our sales came from people who'd rented because people had been renting a lodge for the weekend and thought, actually, this is lovely. Why don't we buy this?" So you've got the same profile of customer, which means that they all gel together nicely. In fact, I said to everyone, why do, would it surprise you to know that we had 950 bookings last year and not a single complaint? So it's worked. The answer is that our rentals work quite well, but they complement our owners. Subletting is a very different thing. Subletting is something that works for a lot of parks and a lot of owners, but it's a way of generating income from a caravan, often with the idea of either running a holiday home as a business or covering pitch fees, for example. And for us, that doesn't work as a profile of customer. We want everyone to be on the same page, which is not, okay, I can't really afford a holiday home, so I'm going to try and rent it out as much as possible so I can cover the pitch fees, because then the holiday park becomes a thing of stress. It becomes, goodness, I need to rent out the holiday home more so that I can cover pitch fees, or it's been a bad year for rentals, maybe I've got to lower the price. Then you start getting people in. You start getting people wanting to rent it out to anyone and not caring about the holiday home, not looking after it as much, just thinking of it as a source of rental income, really. It changes the atmosphere of the park when you have owners who are not so much proud of their holiday home as thinking of it as a business venture, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't work for us because essentially we want everyone to pay their pitch fees, which they know that's their investment in themselves and in their family and in their friends, and that's going to get them the holiday home that they love, which they look after, they treat it very well, they keep it immaculate, and they're really proud of it. And when they have their friends to stay, they make sure their friends leave it in a good state. They care about who they bring onto park and how they act. It's much more of a holiday making community when everyone is invested in the place personally.
So with it being an all year round park, how long can you actually stay on the park?
Again, it's quite a common question, that. So we're a 50-week park, so we have 2 weeks off for when we do. I say 2 weeks off. It's where we work the hardest. We work all year for doing maintenance, doing all the things that are really quite intrusive, whether it's roads resurfacing or pneumatic drills, stuff that people wouldn't really want around their holidays. We do that at the end of January each year. But you're right, we're open all year round because our owners like coming here all year round. If you think about, we've got a lot of natural capital here. So you've got the Arboretum with over 200 varieties of tree. Looks amazing in autumn when the leaves change. The wildflower woods, it's great to come here in January, February, March, when you've got the snowdrops, the daffodils, the bluebells, the foxgloves, the wild garlic, the cow parsley, the nettles, nature coming out in its season. You've got, the summer is obviously wonderful. The winter, when the lakes freeze over, and then you have all the Christmas things on at Burton Constable Hall. It's a park for all seasons, and people like coming throughout the year, but they can't be here all year. Very often that question means, can I live here? And the answer is absolutely no, you can't. We're a holiday park, not a residential park. So you can spend a lot of the year here, don't get me wrong, if you have a home which you treat as your home. So as well as having the things that you need, like council tax, utility bills, you also have to, you could do that on paper and, like, for example, register yourself as living with your brother and pay his utilities, pay his council tax, but actually spend all year in a holiday home. But that wouldn't work for us because you wouldn't be treating it as your home. You want to be going home every so often to feed the fish or water the plants or check the mail, that kind of thing. You can't rent out your home and then spend all the time in the holiday home. But you have people that spend a considerable portion of the year here because they're retired and they're on holiday all the time, and in some cases they've got a really nice lodge here and not a very nice home where they live, and they actually think, well, we'd like to come here as often as possible, every week in some cases. It's a question of common sense. Like, if you're treating your residential address as your home, that's fine. If you're not, then that's not fine. And the reason we're strictly a holiday park and we're very, very strict on the rules, apart from the fact that that's what our license is and that's what we're allowed to do. If you think about, people who try to fudge the rules, or holiday parks that try to fudge the rules, I don't know about you, but I'm a lot more miserable when I'm at home than when I'm on holiday. And you kind of want a group of people who come here and they're always in a good mood because this is their escape. You don't want people sort of curtain twitching and sort of going, like, who's making that noise? Being a bit NIMBY about the whole thing. So for us, it's about having a holiday park both on paper and actually in practice. There are some parks who have sales managers who come and go. They might make promises or say, oh, don't worry, everyone lives here, or whatever it is they say, because they might go to a different holiday park in a year's time and leave chaos in their wake. Whereas because I oversee all of our sales, I'm not going to do a deal if I'm going to be the one who has to clear up the mess in 3, 4, 5, 15 years time. So that's, I think, one of the reasons we're quite so strict about it.
And final question, I've seen online that a lot of people have lost a lot of money on their holiday homes. So what is this about depreciating?
Yeah, you will have seen quite a lot about that. I mean, there's two sides to that. There's depreciation on the holiday home, which, if you think about holiday homes, they're quite like cars, and that they depreciate quite quickly. As soon as you drive a car out of the dealership, it's already sort of halved in value or whatever. What you've probably seen a lot about is specifically on the sale of used caravans, and buying a caravan for £50,000, then trying to the park sort of saying a few months later that it's only worth £20,000. What that is people, I think, don't often appreciate what they're buying. So there's two elements of value to a holiday home. There's the nuts and bolts of it, the caravan itself, which is what it costs to manufacture and then market and trade. So you buy a caravan, the nuts and bolts of a caravan, and you put it in the middle of a muddy field somewhere. It's worth considerably less than if you put it on a fully serviced pitch in a 5-star holiday park overlooking a lake, that sort of thing. So there's the premium of a park to attribute to it. So when you buy a holiday home, that's what you pay. You pay for the caravan itself and then the premium of being on the park. When you come to wanting to sell the caravan for whatever reason, there are kind of three ways you've got of doing it. One is to part exchange, where basically you can say, right, what will you give me for my caravan? I want to buy this other caravan. Then we can we basically, what we do is we look at the margin in both deals, and we try to give you as much for your old caravan as we can towards the new one, because ultimately it's good to keep people, sort of upgrading and improving their holiday experience. And then that old caravan is, can be sold to someone else perhaps as a first time caravan or as an upgrade. They can sell privately as well if they want to. Just if they've got to get rid of the caravan for whatever reason, they can sell privately, and then they can sell for whatever price they want. So say they bought it for £50,000, they could put it on the market for £50,000, and there might be quite a few people who would buy it from them, because there's a lot of people out there looking to buy from people who might give them a good deal rather than villainous holiday park owners. So there's they can access a market that I can't get to, for example, on Facebook Marketplace. And so because what they're selling, a large part of the value of what they're selling is the premium of the park. That's why the parks take a commission on private sales. So it's usually between 15 and 20% for caravans. I think we're 15%, and for lodges we're 8%. But then the third option they have, if they don't want to either upgrade or find a buyer for their caravan, is the third option is to sell it back to the park or to a trader. So the traders will take the caravan, obviously without the park premium, so they'll give what the caravan is worth, and the park will give what the traders will give. Because if you think of it, you can't sell someone their own park back to them, if you see what I mean. And the reason we have that premium at all is because that's how we make money. If you think we've got some lakeside pitches, for example, and we put a caravan on there for 25 years, the pitch fees that we have, pitch fees cover costs, they don't generate profit. So each caravan that we sell has to have a degree of profit to it to carry the license that it's got. So that's why we separate out the object, and I'm usually very clear when people are buying a caravan, this is what they're paying for, this is what they would get if they go down that road. Whereas a lot of people, I think that, hang on, I bought a caravan for £50,000 and the park's only offered me £20,000 back for it. How can it depreciate at that time? It's like, no, it hasn't depreciated. It's just that you can't sell someone their own park back to them. The park is just valuing the caravan itself, and they'll then go and sell it for whatever they want because they can add the premium back on, but they're not going to buy their own premium, if you see what I mean.